तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमंगलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are in the conversation of 18th August, 19th August. We finished 18 and came to 19th August. And the heading of the chapter is Master and M, 13th chapter, and it is at Dakshineshwar. And the conversation is about the troubles undergone by devotees. That is the topic, and so they are talking about the prarabdha. In the previous births, what karma you have done, you do not know. And every karma gives some result outside, but it also leaves a impression, sanskar, on the mind. And these sanskaras are not destroyed till you get the full knowledge in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. These sanskaras depend upon I consciousness. So long as I consciousness is there, the storehouse of these sanskaras are there. And from this storehouse, the strongest sanskara makes your next birth. And so, in that birth, some sanskaras have started giving their fruit. And that is called prarabdha. Those which are already started, there is like a previous momentum on our body and mind, that due to this prarabdha karma. So, we do not know what were our prarabdha karmas, but the results we must enjoy or suffer in this life. And because of that, many troubles they might have had. So, this is what Sri Ramakrishna is explaining. And he has given two examples which I have traced just now. So, tomorrow I will explain those examples. One is about Khullana and one is about Kaluveer. I can explain that even now. I think better I should explain that first. Because the non-Bengalis hardly know these stories. Not that all Bengalis know, but Bengalis in general, in Thakur's time at least, were expected to know. But all Bengalis do not know. And outside Bengal, perhaps nobody knows. And so, it is better that I should explain to you that now this Kaluveer was actually of the caste of Dome. Dome means those who work in Smashana. Those are domes. And though he was belonging to the lowest caste, why is he belonging to the lowest caste? Because of prarabdha. So what happens by prarabdha? Patanjali has explained. Jati, Ayur, Bhoga. These three things depend upon prarabdha. Jati means where you will be born, in what species, in what caste, under what circumstances you will be born. That is determined by prarabdha. And then how many years you will live. That is also fixed. That is also decided by the prarabdha. And what sukha dukkha you will enjoy, that is also decided by prarabdha. Otherwise, man has limited freedom. He can go towards God or he can go away from God. That is his effort. But that may be there. He may go towards God, but the sukha dukkha bhogas depend upon prarabdha. So this birth also. So this Kalu was born as a dove, but he was a hero in battle. And so that is the story. I will take up tomorrow. I will study in the detail and take up tomorrow. I told the introduction. And this Khullana and Shrimanta, two names have been mentioned here. About them also, I will just do introduction at present. There was a rich man, as the name suggests. Charitra Parichiti. There was a rich man, as the name suggests, Dhanapati. And Dhanapati had a wife called Lahana. Now, Lahana could not give any issue to Dhanapati. Therefore, he married another girl, Khullana. And because of this, Lahana was very much jealous about Khullana. And she plotted with many others to how to continuously give trouble to Khullana. And Khullana's son's name is Shrimanta. Now the Shrimanta and Khullana both were high degree devotees of the Divine Mother. And yet, because of that Lahana's plottings, they had to undergo tremendous suffering. This is the introduction. Tomorrow, I will present to you the details of their troubles. So, these characters were mentioned yesterday. Thakur also mentioned something, but you must remember that pleasure and pain are the characteristics of the embodied state. In Kavi Kankan's Chandi, it is written that Kaluvir was sent to prison and a heavy stone placed on his chest. Yet, Kalu was born as a result of a boon from the Divine Mother of the universe. Thus, pleasure and pain are inevitable when the soul accepts a body. Again, Khullana. Again, take the case of Shrimanta, who was a great devotee. Though his mother Khullana was very much devoted to the Divine Mother, there was no end to his troubles, Shrimanta's troubles. He was almost beheaded. There is also the instance of the woodcutter, who was a great lover of the Divine Mother. She appeared before him and showed him much grace and love, but he had to continue his profession of wood cutting, prarabdha, and earn his livelihood by that arduous work. Again, while Devaki, Krishna's mother, was in prison, she had a vision of God himself endowed with 4 hands, holding mace, discus, conch shell, and lotus. That is all goes with Vishnu. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma are in the 4 hands of Vishnu. And Devaki saw that form. And then it became a child Krishna to her. So that is the story. So though she saw Vishnu himself, but with all that, she couldn't get out of prison. M. Why speak only of getting out of prison? This lady, this body, is the source of all our troubles. Devaki should have been freed from the body. Master, the truth is that one must reap the result of the prarabdha karma. The body remains as long as the results of the past actions do not completely wear away. Once a blind man bathed in the Ganges and as a result was freed from his sins. But his blindness remained all the same. Allah, because of that blindness. It was because of his evil deeds in the past births that he had to undergo that affliction. In Thakur's disciples we know, there was that Akshay Kumar Sen who wrote the Ramakrishna Puthi, such a great devotee. But he had unbearable headache almost throughout his life. And when he appealed to Sri Ramakrishna, he did not respond. He appealed to Holy Mother. And Holy Mother said, some problem is going to remain with you. And that some problem was this tremendous headache. So, these are all stories of prarabdha karma. Some people, old people, funnily, come to me and said, Swamiji, pray for me that I should die now. Because they see, even in the present birth, they have spent their life lavishly, nicely, pleasantly. So they are afraid that now that evils which they have done will give their results. But by death, problem will not be solved. Suppose they die, then next birth will start with those problems. So it is, as Thakur says, it has to be worn out. So M. Yes, sir, the arrow that has already left the bow is beyond our control. This I explained yesterday. Master. Now the other side of it, only prarabdha and suffering is only one side of the problem. But those who are devotees, something special with them, and that positive side, Thakur tells now. Master, however much a bhakta may experience physical joy and sorrow, physical in the body, he always has knowledge and treasure of divine love. Knowledge and divine love. Knowledge means the level of consciousness he has reached is called knowledge. And the treasure of divine love. Now, the treasure may be applied to both according to Bengali. Treasure of knowledge and divine love. Because knowledge also is a treasure, great treasure. The level of consciousness you have reached is a great treasure. And your love for God is a great treasure. And that is going to push you forward. This treasure never leaves him. It grows and grows, never leaves him. Take the Pandava brothers for instance. though they suffered so many calamities, this I think may be known to all. Their cousins were the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra, was a blind man because Pandava's father, Pandu, was the actual king. But because he was more interested in increasing the kingdom and living in forest, so he had asked Dhritarashtra to be caretaker. And Duryodhana was his eldest son. And so Dhritarashtra was too much attached to his eldest son. And so whatever he wanted, he could do. And this Duryodhana hated Pandavas like anything. And he so many crooked ways he found to trouble the Pandavas. That was the main point. He played a crooked game of dice with them. His maternal uncle Shakuni would play for him, and he was expert in made-up dice. And Yudhishthir was interested in dice, so he was invited, and they played, and they created havoc on the Pandavas and their pure, pious wife Draupadi. And then they again played, and as a dowager, that you have to go to forest for 12 years, and 1 year incognito you have to live. And if you are discovered, again 12 years you have to go. In between, before this happened, Duryodhana tried to create, with the help of Shakuni, one palace in a town called Varnava. And all the walls were made of shellac, which could burn at a moment's notice. And Shakuni's own men came and said, "We are coming from Varnava and we are interested that the heir in command, Yudhishthir, and his brothers and mother should visit us." And the plan was, as soon as they go, it would be burned. But Vidura, the youngest brother born of a maidservant, was the wisest person, and he had his own spy work, and he could get this plot and saved the Pandavas and asked them that his men will dig a canal, subway, from that palace to the river. And as soon as they go and it is nightfall, they should go from that channel, and there will be boats ready in the river. And with the boats, they should cross over to another country, because the atmosphere has been spoiled by Duryodhana. And there they should live incognito as Brahmins, begging their food. But they, due to their valor, Arjuna won Draupadi in the Swayamvar, and she married all the 5 brothers. So they made a powerful king, Drupada, as their ally, and then they came to Hastinapur to claim the kingdom. So many. Bhima was poisoned and thrown in the ocean. That also he survived. So that about Thakur is telling here. Take the Pandava brothers for instance. Though they suffered so many calamities, they did not lose their God consciousness even once. The original Bengali word is Chaitanya. It has been translated as God consciousness. You can translate it as higher consciousness. You can translate it as their faith, love, and knowledge, godly. And where can you find men like them, endowed with so much knowledge and devotion? Yes, Thakur has come to that. Now, one more point I want to make it here. Several places, Thakur talks about the Pandavas and Yudhishthira in special. Several places. This very fact. So, it appears why Thakur is so much talking of Pandavas and Yudhishthira. It strikes my mind that Pandavas were Sri Krishna's helpmates in his establishment of religion. Dharma sthapanarthe lila sahacha. That is how we can describe the Pandavas. And because the same who was born as Krishna is born as Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna continuously, always remembers his past birth of Sri Krishna. And his special helps were the Pandavas. With their help only, he could establish the Dharma. One small example comes to my mind. Arjuna was a very great archer. There was a hero in the side of Kauravas, Jayadratha. And when Jayadratha faced Arjuna, Jayadratha's father in his hermitage was doing tapasya with closed eyes. And he had already obtained a boon that whoever causes the fall of Jayadratha's head on the ground, his own head will be shattered. This Krishna knew, all right. But he ordered Arjuna hit such an arrow which will cut Jayadratha's head and take it to fall in the lap of his father, who is sitting with closed eyes. So when that happened, because he was shaken, he moved his body like that, and the head fell on the ground. So who caused the head to fall on the ground? His own father. And his head got shattered. Now tell me, who other than Arjuna in the whole world could have done this? And that is why at the end of the Gita, Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. So the Pandavas were very much endowed to help Krishna in the establishment of religion. And they were naturally his dearest people. There also the question of Prarabdha is there. Draupadi, common wife of the 5 Pandavas, had 5 children born from one each of the Pandavas. And at the end of the war, Ashwathama of the Kaurava side thought that he will burn the Pandavas. And in the night he came and put fire to the place where he thought Pandavas, but they were the 5 sons of Pandavas. Krishna had intelligently told the Pandavas that when we win the war, we should stay in the opposite camp for the night to establish our right. And he had taken all the Pandavas there. They were saved. These 5 sons were killed. Draupadi is asking Krishna, you have saved my 5 husbands. Why you could not save my 5 sons? And Krishna replied, I wanted your 5 sons for the establishment of religion, and about your 5 sons, their prarabdha was this much. So there also both the sides we see. Their prarabdha was this much. They will get to, because they are killed in war, they may go to heaven. But on this earth, their prarabdha was this much. I could not do much against it. So here we find both the sides. And so, anything about the Pandavas, about Yudhishthir, Thakur immediately used to be so much talk in favor of them. Where can you find men like them, endowed with so much knowledge and devotion? So that topic comes to a close now, because just then Narendra and Colonel Vishwanath Upadhyay entered the room. Colonel Vishwanath Upadhyay was the agent of Nepal government at Calcutta. Narendra was then 22 years old and studying in college. They saluted the master and sat down. The master requested Narendra to sing. The tanpura hung on the west wall of the room. You know this Indian instrument tanpura? There are 4 wires and they are strung in the fixed notes. And along with the vocal music that is played as accompaniment, not to go along the song, but to provide the basic notes. That is tanpura. And the tanpura hung on the wall, west wall of the room, in Sri Ramakrishna's room. The devotees fixed their eyes on Narendra as he began to tune the drums. Drum? Okay. Now, the drums in common Indian classical music are called tabla as a pair. Tabla is the main to play upon, and it is accompanied by another called dagga in Hindi. In Bengali, it is called maya. That means left hand. Generally, the right-handers will play tabla with the right hand and that dagga with the left hand. So, tabla and baya also are tuned, tabla especially, are tuned in the basic note of the vocalist. So that was being tuned. The devotees fixed their eyes on Narendra as he began to tune the drums. Master to Narendra, the drums don't sound as well as before. By constant use, you may say, Captain. Now, on this spiritual orientation of talk, Captain, they are now full, therefore they are quiet, like a vessel filled with water. So when the spiritual life becomes full, it becomes quiet. Or they are like a holy man who remains silent when his heart is full of God consciousness. Master, but what about sages like Narada? They talked and talked. So Captain has told one thing about spiritual life. Thakur is supplementing by telling how it is different in different people. Captain, he made Captain talk about it. They talked because they were moved by the sufferings of others. So, in the pitcher example, when the water is poured from the pitcher to other vessel, it sounds. Master, you are right. After attaining Samadhi, Narada, Shukadeva, and others came down a few steps, as it were, to the plane of normal consciousness and broke their silence out of compassion for the sufferings of others and to help them. About Shukadeva, we have talked. Now, Narada is called Devarshi. Among the gods, he is a rishi and he is on the earth only to teach people. Narendra began to sing. So the tabla is tuned now. Satyam Shivam Sundaram Rupa Bhati Ridhi Mandire Shedi Inka Veva Hobe. Nirakhi Nirakhi Anudin Mora Dubiba Rup Sagare. It's a quite a longish gone. In English, only 4 lines are given. Oh, when will dawn for me that day of blessedness, when he who is all good, all beauty and all truth will light that is the epithets for God, will light the inmost shrine of my heart. When shall I sink at last, ever beholding him into the ocean of delight? Only 4 lines are given. Dot 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 shows that it is incomplete there. No sooner had the master heard a few words of the song, that is only 4 lines are given. A few words of the song, then he went into deep samadhi. It has triggered, and that is why he asked Naren to sing. He sat with folded hands facing the east. His body was erect and his mind completely bereft of worldly consciousness. So we meet this again and again in the gospel, one common feature, Sri Ramakrishna in Samadhi, and from that he comes down to teach us. His breath had almost stopped. So the Samadhi or inward consciousness makes the breath stop. Because the pranas are not required, the body is not required, and so the breath becomes almost stopped. With unwinking eyes is another example that pranas are not functioning. With unwinking eyes, he sat motionless as a picture on a canvas, motionless. His mind had dived deep into the ocean of God's beauty because the lines tell about God's beauty. Narendra left the room and went to the east veranda where Hazra was seated on a blanket with a rosary in his hand. We have met Hazra previously. He was a hypocrite, had some devotion, but used to imitate Sri Ramakrishna, stay with him so that devotees will go to him also and he may earn some money. And he was good in a way in logical thinking, in a way. And so Narendra liked him. And so now he sang full song. Thakur went into Samadhi. So Narendra goes outside to talk with Hazra. Seated on a blanket and a rosary in his hand. That is all to show that he is a sadhu. They fell to talking. Other devotees arrived. The master came down from Samadhi and looked around. He could not find Narendra. The Tanpura was lying on the floor. He noticed that the earnest eyes of the devotees were riveted on him, on Sri Ramakrishna. Master referring to Narendra, he has lighted the fire. Now it doesn't matter whether he stays in the room or goes out. So he has sent Thakur into Nirvikala Samadhi. He has raised the spiritual consciousness in all the listeners. Now whether is there or not, to captain and the other devotees. Attribute to yourself the bliss of God consciousness, then you too will experience ineffable joy. So attribute to yourself that I am the son of God, so I am always joyful. Then you will experience that joy. The bliss of God consciousness always exists in you because that is your real nature. It is only hidden by the veiling and projecting power of Maya. So Maya is God's power of creating the world, and within it there are two powers, two phases of that power. One is the covering power, that means it covers the nature of God, which is our real nature, and the second is projecting power. When the God is covered, then we see the whole universe, we see ourselves. So that is called the projecting power. The less you are attached to the world, the more you love God. So attachment, world is mine, people are mine, I and mine, that makes you attached to the world. And the less you are attached, your love for God will grow. Captain, he fulfills what Thakur is talking. The farther you proceed toward your home in Calcutta, the farther you leave Benares behind. Again, the farther you proceed towards Benares, the farther behind you leave your home. So if you go towards God, you leave the world. If you go toward the world, you leave God. Master. He gives a concrete example through the Radha Krishna story. As Radha advanced toward Krishna, she could smell more and more of the sweet fragrance of his body. So when God is incarnated as man, there is a fragrance around his body. And when Radha goes nearer, she gets that fragrance. The nearer you approach to God, the more you feel his love. His love. God is loving us. And that you feel more when you go near him. As the river approaches the ocean, it increasingly feels the flow of the tide. This we discussed one day. The water of the ocean comes into the river, and this is up to a limit. So the nearer you are to the ocean, the more ebb and tide she feels the Ganges. The Jnani experiences God consciousness within himself. Jnani, man of knowledge, it is like the upper Ganges flowing in only one direction. That upper means away from the ocean. There this ocean water does not reach. So that is flowing only in one direction. That is Jnani. To him the whole universe is illusory, like a dream. He is always established in the reality of self. But with the lover of God, the case is different. His feeling does not flow in only one direction. He feels both the ebb tide and the flood tide of the divine emotion. So viraha and priti alternate in a man of devotion. He laughs and weeps and dances and sings in the ecstasy of God. The lover of God likes to sport with him. In the ocean of God consciousness, he sometimes swims, sometimes goes down, and sometimes rises to the surface like pieces of ice in the water. Laughter because of this simile. Ice in water goes down and up. It is water only, but ice. So devotee has taken a form to love God. So it swims and goes down and comes up. That ebb and tide is felt by the premi. The Jnani seeks to realize Brahman. But the ideal of the Bhakta is the personal God. Brahman here means Nirguna Brahma, a God endowed with omnipotence and with the six treasures. Six treasures are called Bhaga, and Bhagavan means one who possesses them always is called Bhagavan. What are the six treasures? Jnana Vairagyam. He says that as is Aishwarya, as is power, as is glory, as is all-knowingness, as is all-powerfulness, he has Vairagya with them. So that is Bhaga, and that is possessed by God eternally, and endowed with omnipotence and with these six treasures. Yet Brahman and Shakti are one, in fact not different. So Brahman with Shakti is called the personal God. And Brahman Nirguna has that aspect, personal God has this aspect, but actually they are not different. Brahman and Shakti are in fact not different. Shakti stands for the personal God. Shakti makes that Nirguna Brahma appear as Saguna Brahma. But they are identical. That which is the blissful mother, Anandamayi Ma, Shakti, is again existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Satchidananda is general description of Nirguna Brahma, and mother is Anandamayi, and they are identical. That which is the blissful mother is again existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. They are like the gem and its luster. So no difference. When one speaks of the luster of the gem, one thinks of the gem, and again when one speaks of the gem, one refers to its luster. One cannot conceive of the luster of the gem without thinking of the gem, and one cannot conceive of the gem without thinking of its luster. So by this example it tells, they appear two things, but they are one. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Thakur is continuously busy in harmony. So the Jnanis and Bhaktas harmony, the Nirgunvadis, Sagunvadis harmony, the Shaktas and Vedantis harmony. Existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute is one and one only. But it is associated with different limiting adjuncts on account of the different degrees of its manifestation. One, but manifestations are different, and so the manifestations have different degree. So this is the reconciliation between the Vedantic sameness and the apparent differences in the world. That is why one finds various forms of God. The devotee sings, O my Divine Mother, thou art all these. Wherever you see action like creation, preservation and dissolution, there is the manifestation of Shakti. Water is water, whether it is calm or full of waves and bubbles. The Absolute alone is the primordial energy, primordial. All the forms of energy can be resolved into that is called primordial, which creates, preserves, and destroys. Thus, it is the same as Brahman. Captain, now Thakur is talking, Captain, whether he remains inactive or performs his worship or pays a visit to the Governor General, only we designate him by different names at different times. Captain, yes sir, that is so. about himself. Master, I said those words to Keshav Sen. Now, Captain is not happy with Keshav because Keshav is not Orthodox Hindu, which the captain was. Captain, Keshav is not an Orthodox Hindu. He adopts manners and customs according to his own whim. He is a well-to-do gentleman and not a holy man. Master, to the other devotees, Captain forbids me to go to see Keshav. Captain, but sir, you act as you will. What can I do? Master, sharply. He did not like that condemnation. Why should I go to see Keshav? Oh, it should be. Yes. Why shouldn't I go to see Keshav? Not good. Why shouldn't I go to see Keshav? You feel at ease when you go to the Governor General's home. He is not Hindu. And for money at that. Keshav thinks of God and chants his name. Isn't it you who are always saying that God himself has become the universe and all its living beings? Doesn't God dwell in Keshav also? With these words, the master left the room abruptly and went to the northeast veranda. He did not want to talk further on that topic. He has given a hit and went away. Captain and the other devotees remained waiting for his return. M accompanied the master to the veranda where Narendra was talking with Hazra. That's why he went to the veranda. Sri Ramakrishna knew that Hazra always indulged in dry philosophical discussions. Hazra would say, the world is unreal, like a dream. Worship, food, offerings to the deity and so forth are only hallucinations of their mind. He does not accept the second aspect. The aim of spiritual life is to meditate on one's own real self. Then he would repeat, I am he. But with all that, he had a soft corner in his heart for money, material things, and people's attention. Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said to Hazra and Narendra, hello, what are you talking about? Narendra smiling, oh, we are discussing a great many things. They are rather too deep for others, in a joke and because philosophical talk. Master with a smile, but pure knowledge and pure love are one and the same thing. Let us discuss this great truth. There are two names and the adjective pure. So there is some difference between them because of the two names. And pure is the adjective applied to both of them. That means there is impure knowledge and impure devotion also. And impure knowledge and impure devotion are not the same thing. Pure knowledge and pure devotion are the same thing. Now let me discuss this point. Knowledge on the way is a particular attitude of the mind. Analysis, thinking, unreality of the world, reality of God alone, these are knowledge's main factors. Now, God is at the background, but this is incomplete or impure knowledge. If you call God only transcendent, it is impure or imperfect knowledge. That very God who is beyond, who is at the base of the world, appears as the world itself. Now the knowledge is complete and pure. Examples of impure knowledge are also Sankhya, Nyaya and other philosophies. And Nirguna Brahma only, that is also half knowledge, so impure. So knowledge becomes complete or pure when we know that through Vishleshan we are going, through analysis. We find the world to be unreal. It appears real because there is a reality at the back. But then it becomes complete when we know that reality at the back appears as the world. This becomes the pure knowledge. Now devotion. Devotion does not think in the beginning whether the world is real or unreal. There is God and I love Him. That is how devotion starts. And Vairagya is there. How? Those things which obstruct my love of God, I completely give up. In this way, he proceeds. And he realizes the immanence of God first. God is all pervading. But once you realize God is all pervading, automatically in the depth, if you do not keep your eye, if you keep your eye, the devotion is incomplete and impure. When you lose your eye in Brahman, then where is the world? World automatically vanishes. And so that is pure devotion. So pure devotion and pure knowledge mean for knowledge, world is unreal, God is real, and God is the world. For devotee, God is real, God is the only real, so, and God appears as this world, so world has no existence of itself. So the pure love and pure devotion and pure knowledge are same. Two approaches, so two names. Vishleshan, intellect, that is knowledge. Heart, feeling, that is devotion. But when they become pure, both are identical. Nature of God, Nirgun Sagun Brahma, shines in their heart. So, Hazara must have been talking about Nirgun Brahma, so Thakur has told this. Both lead the aspirants into the same goal. The path of love is much the easier. Narendra caught this point immediately because by now he has understood that. So Narendra quoted a song. O mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Now Narendra has come to that position in life. So Narendra said to him that he had been reading a book by Hamilton, a philosopher, who wrote, "A learned ignorance is the end of philosophy and the beginning of religion." Learned ignorance. You know everything that you do not know the nature of God. Then what will you do? You love God. Proceed in that way. Try to get experience which you cannot understand by reason. That is religion. Religion is practice. Religion is trying to experience. Philosophy is to intellectually determine the nature of reality. So end of philosophy, beginning of religion, that is what Hamilton had come to, and that appealed to Narendra highly. He also followed the path of reason, Western philosophy, he came to a dead end and then understood that through meditation he can approach God nearer, and then he solved his problem. So that he is talking. Master to M. What does that mean? Because Narendra told it in English. Narendra explained, he asked M, but Narendra explained the sentence in Bengali. The master beamed with joy and said in English, "Thank you, thank you." Everyone, because the original talk was in English, Everyone laughed at the charming way he said these words. They knew that his English vocabulary consisted of only half a dozen words. This is a miscalculation. From the gospel, I tried to make a list, and it went beyond 25, I remember, 28 or something. So, but people thought in general that he knows only half a dozen words. Actual vocabulary is much more. Young Bengal, electricity, dilute, so many words will come. It was almost dusk when most of the devotees, including Narendra, took leave of the master. Sri Ramakrishna went out and looked at the Ganges for a few minutes from the west porch. Two priests were bathing in preparation for the evening worship. Young men of the village were strolling in the garden or standing on the concrete embankment, gazing at the murmuring river. Others, perhaps more thoughtful, were walking about in the solitude of the Panchavati, where Master performed his sadhana. It became dark. The maidservant lighted the lamp in Sri Ramakrishna's room and burned incense. The evening worship began in the 12 temples of Shiva and in the shrine of Krishna and Kali. As it was the first day after the full moon, the moonlight was flooded. The moonlight soon flooded the tops of the trees and temples and touched with silver the numberless waves of the sacred river. The master returned to his room. After bowing to the Divine Mother, he clapped his hands and chanted the sweet names of God. A number of holy pictures hung on the walls of his room. Among others, there were the pictures of Dhruva, Prahlada, who I heard these stories before, Kali, Radhakrishna, and the coronation of Rama. The master bowed low before the pictures and repeated the holy names. So, God appears in so many forms, and Thakur is having Shraddha for all of them. Then he repeated the holy words Brahma, Atma, Bhagavan. Same thing, three names Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Three forms of the same Brahma, Shakti, Shakti, Brahma, identical. Veda, Purana, Tantra, Gita, Gayatri. These are the ways to go to God. Then he said, I have taken refuge at thy feet, O Divine Mother. Not I, but thou. I am the machine, and thou art the operator, and so on. So, spiritual truths. While the master was meditating in this fashion on the Divine Mother, a few devotees coming in from the garden gathered in his room. Sri Ramakrishna sat down on the small couch. He said to the devotees, Narendra, Bhavanath, Rakhal, and devotees like them belong to the group of the Nitya Siddhas. We had thought of it previously. They are eternally free. Religious practice on their part is superfluous. Look at Narendra. He doesn't care about anyone. One day he was going with me in captain's carriage. Captain wanted him to take a good seat, but Narendra didn't even look at him. So, no specification of good and bad. He is independent even of me. He doesn't tell me all he knows, lest I should praise his scholarship. This Thakur understands before others. He is free from ignorance and delusion. He has no bonds. He is a great soul. He has many good qualities. He is expert in music, both as a singer and player, and is also a versatile scholar. Again, he keeps his passions under control and says that he will never marry. So, this is more important. Huh? Let me see in Bengali and then I will tell you. খুব ভালো আধার এদিকে জিতেন্দ্রিয় বলেছে বিয়ে করবেন না এদিকে that means the more talents a man has the more astray he is likely to go. But Narendra has many, and if he has no talents, the worth is not there. Narendra has many talents and yet he has controlled his passions and says he will never marry and he will go to God. There is a close friendship between Narendra and Bhavanath. They are just like man and woman. Narendra doesn't come here very often. That is good, for I am overwhelmed by his presence. So, this is the end of that day's talk. Om Sahana Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiditam Kalma Shapam Shravanamangalam Shrimadatam Bhui Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.